Dear Father Simon and the Drive Time Clergy Collective, no points for originality there. I am writing to request forgiveness for an event that took place when I was young and foolish and living just outside Glasgow. It's June 1987 and we had just finished our exams. The mood was joyous, the sun was shining. We were all glad the pressure of the exams had finally come to an end. Basically, we all needed to blow off some steam. Let me first tell you, I was not the most popular boy at school. I wasn't the school sporty one. I wasn't the moody goth, as was popular at the time. Just an average guy who studied hard, was well behaved, and did what he was told. Now, at this time, I did have a fancy for a certain girl who sat next to me in history. Caroline was very popular, very good looking, and was chased by all the cool guys in the school, and I fancied her something rotten. Well, during our history class, not much teaching going on, as it was near the end of term. That's that wonderful feeling where you go to school, but all the work's done, so you're just dossing around.
Put on a DVD, something like that.
Something like that. There's always one teacher, though, who says, no, you're going to have to do some work. But anyway, there wasn't much going on in this particular history class. So she says, are you going to Sharky's Empty on Saturday? At this point, I should explain an empty is a West of Scotland term for when the parents are out and the house is going to be empty.
Home alone.
Therefore, a party had to be had. Sharky, I can tell you, was the coolest, most popular guy in the school, and he had a huge house. Anyway, I told Caroline, no, I wouldn't be going to Sharky's because I hadn't been properly invited, which is when she turns to Sharky and says, can Si come to the empty on Saturday? He just shrugged and grunted. So Caroline turns to me and says, there you go, you're coming. I later told my friend Johnny, who was ecstatic, hey, we're going to an empty at Sharky's. Nice one. I was nervous because I knew I was going to feel a little out of place, but Caroline was going to be there, so basically I just had to suck it up. Well, the Saturday came and we turned up at Sharky's house to find the front door already open. We went in and the house was jumping. People dancing on tables, a kitchen full of people being ill.
Great.
Nice.
Fabulous.
Girls
already.
crying in the toilet. Just a usual teenage party, really. But this was my first empty, and it was amazing. So we went to the kitchen and opened out our carry-out, consisting of 2 bottles of cider. Nice. They came prepared. I then spotted Caroline, and she came over and started being very friendly. Now, I know it was probably the lemonade talking, but she was being very touchy-feely, and I genuinely thought I was in here, right up to the point, until Sharky came over and snogged her right in front of me, and then led her away. Well, I knew it was never to be anyway. But while I was cursing my luck, a fight broke out in the kitchen about someone opening someone else's cans.
Oh, dear.
And not wanting to get involved, this is the sentence that doesn't quite make a lot of sense. Johnny and I decided to go upstairs.
Right.
Really?
Get out of the way.
Okay.
Get out of the way. Hide. Yeah.
Well, I know that. What's wrong with the garden? Oh, I suppose there were people being ill in the garden.
Yeah.
Anyway, we opened a door looking for the loo
Oh, no.
and found it was the airing cupboard. Anyway, looking up, we saw a loft hatch. And naturally, me and Johnny decided to go and have a look.
Obviously.
Well, Father Simon, the loft was absolutely massive. Partially floored with cases, boxes and games, we started to have a good look round. We were messing about and trying stuff on. Because
This has gone down a completely different route.
it has. Because
I think as in clothes.
I found
I know what they meant.
I found a box of fur coats. What else? Anyway, hats, and even found a crazy bear costume, which I obviously put on.
Obviously.
So at one point, I found an accordion and started to try and play it. So there I was. So there I was, sitting in a loft with a bear costume and playing an accordion. We were so engrossed in all the paraphernalia in the loft, we hadn't noticed the music had stopped downstairs. Wondering why it had suddenly gone quiet, Johnny headed towards the skylight with a telescope that we'd found
What is in this loft?
and stuck it out the window. He came back with a look of panic and said, "It's the Rozzers.
No, he didn't.
It's the police. They're outside."
He's in the west of Scotland. He wouldn't have said that, would he?
Ross.
No.
I looked, and sure enough, the street was full of teenagers and a police van with the blue lights flashing. I then saw a car pull into the drive. Turns out our neighbour had called the police due to the noise and managed to get in touch with Sharky's mum and dad, who'd come back from the golf club dance. We suddenly realised the gravity of our situation and decided we better try and tidy the loft. I then heard a voice shout, "Is there someone in the loft?" before the hatch suddenly opened. I panicked and ran to the back of the loft while Johnny hid behind some boxes. However, in my panic, I forgot that the loft had only been partially floored.
Oh, no.
And the place I ran to was not floored. I felt my foot drop and I thought, I'm going through here. I went straight through the ceiling and landed on a bed, absolutely covered in plaster with bits of ceiling hitting me on the head. I stood up and turned round, and there was Mrs. Sharkey standing in the middle of the bedroom, about to get undressed. She looked more than a little shocked, it's fair to say, probably because a bear covered in plaster and playing an accordion had just crashed through the ceiling
Still got the accordion.
into her room. As Mrs. Sharkey started screaming, I turned and ran out of the room and down the stairs and then out the back door. I could hear Mr. Sharkey trying to climb down from the loft as fast as he could. I ran out of the house. I kept going over the hedge at the back of the garden, into another garden and beyond. The story of the bear that ran away from Sharky's empty became legendary around our way, although no one ever discovered the identity of the bear. I never actually told anyone, even though I knew it would have made me more popular.
Yeah.
Which is true. Father Simon, I seek forgiveness from Mrs. Sharkey for giving her the fright of her life and damaging her property. I also seek forgiveness from Johnny for running off and leaving him behind. I also seek forgiveness from Sharkey himself, as he was grounded till the summer. However, he did steal Caroline from me. So, actually, which is the unforgivable thing there. So you can imagine that would be quite, you're just getting undressed, you're a little bit cross because you've been dragged back from the golf evening soiree, and then suddenly a bear playing accordion drops from the roof. That doesn't happen every day. Sister Bobby.
I think I'm beyond caring. That's such the best story ever. Simon, I would almost marry you for that.
Oh.
What was the
means
point
the other
again?
Simon.
It's not you. It's all right.
I get it now.
Simon, for the best story ever, and you shouldn't really go into people's lofts without their permission and everything, but it was the best story ever, and it's not usual my usual remit. You are forgiven just for the best story ever.
9.
I'm exhausted. How many layers of a confession can you have? And who can't resist? I mean, a loft hatch has just got to be investigated, hasn't it? Particularly when you've had 2 bottles of cider split with your mate Johnny.
How many lofts have a big chest full of clothes with an empty bear costume in there somewhere?
Fantastic.
Well, I've just cleared out a loft, and there is an accordion and a guitar and an amp and some. There you go.
Very
Actually, we've got a loft with Halloween stuff in it. 'Cause that comes out every year.
Maybe everyone's
there you
got
go.
one. All right.
Silly me. But also that was really fantastic. And what happened to Johnny? Who cares?
Yeah.
He'd abandoned his mate, fallen through the ceiling, given Mrs. Golf Club a bit of a surprise, and off he went. That's fantastic. Simon, absolutely forgiven.
Mr. and Mrs. Sharkey, I think, probably had this coming. I mean, you disappear off to the golf country club and leave your house empty with your son, young Junior Sharkey. This was always going to happen, apart from, obviously, an accordion-playing bear falling through your ceiling. Probably didn't expect that. That's fair enough. So I am going to forgive.